So how do you know if someone owns a Cybertruck? Don't worry, they'll tell you. Or as I'm driving down the road, this shiny metal will blind you as you are driving by. Just kidding, that's not normally a problem for me since mine is normally dirty and it's not shiny at all, although I did have to get it cleaned to get my tint redone. But anyway, I've been driving my Cybertruck for about, well, almost 3 months, over 5,000 miles. And with that time and experience as a daily driver, this is my vehicle. It's not an extra car. I don't own 10 cars and just take this out whenever I feel like it. This is what I take to work. This is what I drive my kids around in. This is the vehicle I use every day to drive around. And so I wanted to tell you my favorite features of the Cybertruck after owning it and driving it for this amount of time and this many miles. And don't worry if you hate Cybertruck. I am gonna have the things I don't like about Cybertruck. That'll be another video in the future. I'll link it above whenever that's done. But this is where I want to talk to you about the things that I've really been enjoying. So let's just get into it. This video is brought to you by Joa, my choice for premium Tesla and vehicle accessories. Claim your exclusive discount with the link in the description below. So first up, steering. And this is overall, this is having the rear steering, this is the steer-by-wire, the steering wheel, everything about the steering I have been loving with this truck, and it is insane. Even compared to something like a Model Y, the turning radius on this is better. I don't know the exact numbers off the top of my head, but just my experience daily driving this thing, turning, doing everything, like having to do, back up and get out of parking spaces. Like when I leave here, I obviously back up and turn around. All of that is so much easier in this vehicle for a few reasons. Of course, the rear wheel steering, which with the rear tires will move in and out to assist at lower speeds, and that makes it so the vehicle turns tightly and efficiently. But the steer-by-wire, it's unimaginable. It's not something that I can clearly get across to you on video, unfortunately. As much as I've tried to think about it, you have to hop in a Cybertruck and you have to try it. Even being in the passenger seat, it's just, you can't get a feel for it until you get in the Cybertruck and try it. And I've had so many different people drive my Cybertruck because I like to share, and it's fun to have people experience it and check it out, especially when they don't like it. I've had other people like that drive it as well. They get in and immediately, I mean, you can't do anything in this thing without first going, whoa, the steering is wild. And at first it's weird, but it really only took me about 5 minutes to get used to. And I find pretty much anyone that drives it is immediately adapting to the steering and is able to do what they need to do. They don't get confused by it at all. And it's just so nice. It's powerful, so it doesn't take a lot of effort to move the steering wheel, but it's deadly precise in that everything you do is just so pinpoint accurate. Now, when you're at higher speeds, it's not so like sharp and jarring. It is a lot smoother, and it takes a little more input to go, change a lane or something. It's not like you barely move it and you're flying over another lane. You do have to turn it more at higher speeds. That's the variable steering ratio, and it's just awesome at every capacity. And again, there's no real learning curve for any of that. I don't know how your brain really picks up on all this, but it's just instantly, or almost instantly, you adapt to this new steering, and every vehicle needs it. I mean, it's just the way of the future. And I think it's going to be a long time before most vehicles outside of Cybertruck, even Tesla's own vehicles, will have this, because it's just so radically different. But it is by far what you want to have. It is so great. And the biggest problem I have with the steer-by-wire is getting into a vehicle that doesn't have it. So hopping into my wife's Model Y, now again, I jump back and forth easily enough and I'll adapt and do all that. But having to turn the wheel a couple of times, it all sounds so silly to like be talking about this even, because it's like, okay, you have to turn the steering wheel a little more. But again, without actually experiencing it, it's hard to get across to you how great the steer-by-wire is. I mean, in my opinion, it's safer, it's better, it's more precise, there's just everything. So steering is definitely one of my favorite things about the Cybertruck, which I never expected to even think or care about it, and it's just turned out to be one of the best things about it. Next up is powered frunk. Now, I'm not gonna spend too long on this because it's not that big of a deal, but I have used this frunk so much more than any other frunk in any Tesla I've had. And my Model 3, I did do the hand show powered frunk. They had sent that out to me a long time ago, and I installed it and made a video about that. And once I installed that powered frunk, I did end up using it a lot more because it was powered. You could control it, from the app or whatever, like you can with this. And then my Model Y, I just never did it. I just never really got around to it or felt like doing it. And so my Model Y frunk basically went unused outside of like putting my patrons in the frunk, which I do have a patron to put in here. Yeah, so having the powered frunk, I'm using it a ton. So for example, how we used it when we road tripped down to Florida, we put all of our stuff in the bed, mostly like our suitcases and all that stuff that we didn't really need until we got to our destination. And we did, because we have young kids, we did stop at a hotel on the way down and the way back. And we put all the hotel stuff, so like, our overnight clothes and just a few things that we needed at the hotels, in the frunk. So we were able to, you know, back into a parking spot or whatever. We didn't have to touch the bed with all the stuff just kind of thrown in there. I didn't really organize. I just threw everything in the bed and got going. But the frunk had all the stuff we needed. So I would open the frunk, grab all the stuff, and then, you know, close the frunk and go into the hotel. And that was so convenient. And then while we were in Florida going to the beach, we would put a lot of the beach stuff. Well, sometimes we did use the bed for that, but we'd either put a lot of it in the frunk or some of it just at the back of the bed there, and be able to easily access that. So because it's powered, because you can control it from the app and it's so easy to use, this is being used way more. I used it for the off-road park. I mean, I don't need to give you more examples, but I'm using this a ton versus my other Teslas where this isn't powered. I just basically didn't use it. And then mentioning the powered frunk, I'm gonna just go into storage in general. Obviously, it's a big vehicle and it has lots of places to put things all over the place. And not only does it have a lot of places to put things, but it's really convenient to use all of these different places. So having the bed, I mean, it's a truck, trucks have beds. It's not like there's anything too special about this bed outside of the tonneau cover and that it's from factory. I guess that is special. From factory, this is locking storage. So yeah, you know, any pickup truck has a bed and they're varying sizes and everything and usabilities, but most pickup trucks from factory, this is not locking. So you have all this storage, but you couldn't really leave anything too valuable in the bed because anywhere you park, someone could just open up the cover, or if you have no cover, they can just reach in and take your stuff. Whereas with this, it's locking. This supports, you know, over 300 pounds or up to 300 pounds or whatever it's supposed to be. And so with that, you can close this, they call it the vault, and all your stuff is safe in there. On top of that, of course, the frunk, which I talked about. So, I mean, it's just, there's more than you need, which is, you know, kind of the American way. You just get more than you need and then you're happy until you're not. And then in here, the underbench storage here. So again, is this Cybertruck specific? Does no other vehicle have this? No, of course not. But being able to put these up and store stuff under here, and I can't wait for Tesla to actually have this under seat storage in stock. That's like the only Tesla accessory I really want to buy. Their accessories are just usually so expensive, but that one, it's like a bin you put under here and then you can store stuff in here. And then it's locked. It's all locking storage. So you can have a bunch of stuff in here and have it ready to go. I'm going to put all my cleaning supplies in there. Haha. But having that, it's so easily accessible. You open the door, it's right here. Even something as small as the glove box, or I call it the glove drawer, the way it works, it's not a huge amount of storage, but the way it's powered with this button and how it's more of a drawer rather than like that opening thing where it's just a big hole that, you know, stuff falls out of. You have this little side pocket here where you can put some information or whatever you need. Just the way this is set up, it's just so nice. They've organized everything so nicely in here. Down here, this is what I don't like because it's not like great storage, but I'm excited for either Tesla or aftermarket accessories to kind of address this and give you more storage here. And then in here, yep, I was doing some real work with my truck. In here, you get this tray. Now this Foundation Series, you got to buy it separately if you don't get Foundation Series in the future. But the tray, you know, nothing too special, but it's nice. And then more huge deep storage, and everything in there is just, I don't know, the storage of this thing is just awesome. Now next up, these are in no particular order, they're just the things that I'm really enjoying about the truck, is the efficiency. Now, in terms of Teslas, this is the least efficient Tesla. I don't know if I'd say by far, but it's the least efficient Tesla. It uses the most energy to go a mile versus any other Tesla. But compared to all vehicles on the market, especially compared to pickup trucks in general, this thing is efficient. You're using so much less energy to drive this around than you are other pickup trucks, obviously, especially if they're gas powered. Now, there is the towing and all that, which I think this is terrible for towing. If you tow regularly long distances, you shouldn't consider this. But most people that buy pickup trucks don't do anything with them. That's just a fact. People in the US buy pickup trucks for whatever reason. They want to be able to use it every once in a while. They just think it looks cool or rides nice or their friends have it. I don't know the reason. I don't really care. Like, buy whatever you want. What do I care? But the fact is, most Americans that buy pickup trucks don't use them for towing or hauling almost any of the time. They're commuting to work. They're going to the grocery store. They're doing whatever. And if you're going to be hauling around this huge thing to do all that stuff, you might as well use the least amount of energy possible. And you can do that with Cybertruck, first of all, because it's electric, which is great. But it's also just Tesla's design. The way they do everything is really efficient. And then for me, on top of that, I have the solar panels up here. So as of right now, it's sunny. If I start charging my Cybertruck, it's literally free. It is free. The energy goes directly from the solar panels into my Cybertruck. Now, yes, I paid for my solar panels, but that doesn't change the fact they're paid. I paid for them, you know, years ago. It doesn't change the fact that the energy that goes into my Cybertruck from the solar panels doesn't cost me anything. So if I charge the Cybertruck from 0% to 100%, that costs me nothing on solar. if I charge it from 50% to 100%, you know, I hope you get the idea here. Yes, of course you have to pay for the solar panels, but I don't know why that's a controversial take, that when I charge my Cybertruck or my other electric vehicles, it's totally free. And that's a good place for today's sponsor, Drone Quote, as well. If you're thinking about solar, Drone Quote will totally free. Totally free. They'll come help you out. They will give you a survey. They'll send out their drone pilots. They'll take pictures for you. They will go around to your local installers and find you the best quote on solar. So definitely check them out if you're interested. And my favorite part of Drone Quote is they are consumer focused. So if they do your survey and, you know, look at your house and your electric bill and whatever, and solar doesn't make sense, it wouldn't pay itself off soon enough because, you know, there's a return on investment, they're going to tell you like, it's really not a great idea right now. Don't get solar. And that's like the beauty of Drone Quote. Not only is it free for them to, you know, come out and do this stuff for you, solar might not be for you. It's not, it is for most people, to be honest, but it's not for everyone. And if it's not for you, they'll let you know. So use my link below for their free survey with their drone pilots. They'll come out. It's a great company, veteran owned, definitely worth checking them out. So right now it's sunny. I think my wife's car is actually charging right now. It has charge on solar for free, and it has charge on solar, and so it's charging for free, just sitting in the garage automatically. It's so nice. And most of the summer, actually, my wife's car, we pay nothing to charge it because she's home during the day enough that it'll fill up. And then for me, what I do with Cybertruck is if I'm not going to drive the next day or whatever, I just won't charge when I get home. And then if it's sunny, I will charge it up. Of course, if I have to go somewhere, I just charge it and don't worry about it because it only costs, you know, a little bit. But anytime that I can, like right now when it's sunny, charge it for free. That's what I do. Now, I know this is supposed to be all good stuff video, but I will give a counterpoint in the efficiency because it's not all sunshine and rainbows. The negative to the efficiency aspect, if you do need to go long distances, either towing or just go on a road trip or whatever with your Cybertruck, if you're using Tesla superchargers, the savings is not going to be as great. Now, versus a truck, it usually is still cheaper versus a gas truck, but it's not going to be really worth the extra time that you have to put in charging and everything. But again, the beauty is that I get home and I plug in and it's full by the time I'm, you know, ready to go on my next adventure or whatever. Then it's incredibly cheap compared to gas. So the efficiency aspect is if you charge at home. If you do a lot of out-of-home charging, I do a lot of road trips and stuff, I wouldn't really consider that point so much. Just thought that was important to point out. Now for the efficiency, I will mention as well, you know, a lot of people say, oh, you got to charge it, it takes time. It takes no time. When I charge at home, which is 99%, more than 99% of my charging, this takes no time. You get home and you plug it in, and then you go about your day and your time, and you do whatever you got to do. Whereas before, I was stopping at a gas station twice a week, and sure, it takes, you know, maybe 5 to 8 minutes to get in and out of there, but that's 5 to 8 minutes twice a week that I now have back, that I don't have to go there anymore. So I will take that any day of the week. Again, I was a skeptic before I had my first EV that I didn't think I would like the electric portion. I wanted all the tech and all that, but I thought the charging would be annoying. Within a month, I was like, well, I'm never getting gas again. This is so much more convenient and so much easier for me than getting gas. Okay, so next up, I want to talk about kind of utility, but also the stainless steel and no paint aspect. So if you can't tell by the vehicle that I bought, I don't really care what my car looks like. It doesn't matter at all. Now, I have kind of grown to like the Cybertruck. I do think it looks pretty cool, especially from the front. I think the back still looks like really like a dumpster. I don't think it looks good, but I can't see it when I'm driving it. Who cares? Like, what is that? I don't know. I've never found the obsession with like the looks of vehicles, but that's just me. And I mean, I'm sure there's other people too, but for the most part, if you can't tell, I don't really care what my car looks like. So just the utility, the straight utility of this is what I love. And living out here, you know, in the woods and stuff, when you're driving down the dirt roads and all that, there's always going to be branches and sticks and rocks, first of all, in the road, but also on the side of the road, there's a bunch of trees and branches hanging down. And as you're driving, especially after a storm or something, it's inevitable that your car will scrape up against all of that stuff. And when you have paint, the paint scratches, and that can lead to worse problems with rusting if your metal gets exposed and all that. And it's just not something you really have to worry about on the Cybertruck. Now, can it rust? Yeah, of course, but it's incredibly resistant to rust. And I think if you wash it a couple of times in the winter when you get salt on it, I don't think it's ever going to be a problem. But we'll find out over the years as I own it and other people own it. But that's kind of the beauty for me in the Cybertruck is it'll scratch. I mean, look, if we look closely here, hold on, is it coming up on camera here? You got to get the right angle so you can't even tell. There's like swirl marks and stuff on here. It's kind of hard to see, but I think you can see like right here, those are scratches from either when it was being prepped for delivery or I don't know, when I was wiping it off or something. I have no idea. I don't really care either. It's just the utility of this thing in that's kind of what one of the biggest things I've been excited for, waiting for this the whole time, is it's just a vehicle. It'll do the stuff I want it to do, and I don't have to worry about, you know, paint and the fragilities of that really thin metal. This is just, you know, going to do everything I need, and it's kind of utilitarian in that aspect. So overall, I think if the prices come down, like when Foundation Series is done, I'm kind of skeptical. I think they may, you know, prices may stay elevated for a long time. Or maybe they end Foundation Series and keep the prices elevated. I don't know. But I think as prices come down, if they come down and they get a little more reasonable, this is just going to be, I mean, you're going to see, these are going to flood. I think these are going to flood the market, especially if you're talking like 5 or more years from now, when you got used Cybertrucks that people are getting really good deals on, if they depreciate like other Teslas have. These are just going to be everywhere, because it's going to be like, I just need a vehicle that I don't have to worry about maintenance. I don't have to worry about it getting dinged up. I can park anywhere and someone can door ding me. It doesn't matter. I don't care. This is it. I mean, this is really your only option, you know, that you have going forward. So in that aspect of just being able to use it and not worry about it being fragile and all of that, it's just great. So I got 2 more, but I'm going to kind of blend them together because they're not huge in importance for me, but they are things I wanted to touch on because I think it might be something that people don't really expect. Number 1 is just fun overall. I mean, this thing is so fun it's just so different. You know, we have the same things going on in our lives every day, depending, I mean, I don't know if you're the same as me, but you just have kind of a routine, a schedule. You go to work, you come home, you blah, blah, blah. And just to have something so different, like injected into your everyday life is so nice. And it's a fun thing to talk about with people. I've met so many people I probably would have never talked to if it wasn't for the Cybertruck. So that aspect of it is fun. And then on top of that, the no stalks. I know it's not really related, but this is something I think people might not expect to be a positive, but I think it's a combination of a few things. The steer-by-wire, so only having to kind of turn this much to do all of your driving. And on top of that, the buttons on this Squircle, they're clicky, as opposed to the capacitive buttons on the Model S and X and the new Model 3, which, you know, maybe those are changing at some point, so don't kill me if now they're clicky, but at least my last experience with S and X and new 3, they were not clicky, they were all capacitive. But anyway, having no stalks is far superior in my experience. Now, back when we had the Model X with no steer-by-wire, so you turn all the way, and capacitive buttons, so not clicky, I liked it then as well. And a lot of people said, oh, we don't want capacitive, we want them to be clicky buttons. And using it daily, personally using it daily, I was like, the capacitive buttons work fine. What's the problem? I like this. I prefer it over no stalks. Now having a similar setup with the clicky buttons, I totally agree. I don't want capacitive anymore. The clicky buttons are a huge improvement over the capacitive experience, but the no stalks in general is just so nice. Again, it's one of those things, it's small and it doesn't seem like that big of a deal when you're talking about it, but using it, again, you got to think, these are things you do when you're driving multiple times, maybe 20, 30 times per drive. You're doing this stuff where you're, oh, stalk, oh, go and drive, go into reverse, do this turn signal, turn the lights on, do the windshield wipers. I mean, now it's all right here. So it's just so much simpler to just like be doing this as you're doing that stuff. Now, I know Europeans are always like, oh, but when we're doing the roundabouts, and okay, I don't live there, and roundabouts here, nobody uses turn signals, so what do I care? So I don't know. I don't know what the answer is for you there. But for me, and here where I drive and the type of driving I do, that's really the only concern I've heard that's legitimate, and it's not something that's applicable here. So in my daily driving, and again, I should, you know, with the Cybertruck, you only go this far. So you could still keep your hand there and hit the turn signal. I think it would be a little awkward, don't get me wrong. But overall, having no stalks is just kind of like a quality of life improvement that was a lot bigger than I thought. But when I'm talking about it, doesn't sound like that big of a deal, but it's something you do so much that it really does improve the overall experience in a big way. Now, there is another factor of utility with the Cybertruck that I really enjoy. And it's just so funny because if you look from, you know, a higher perspective, overall, most of these things I don't need on a daily basis, I'm not gonna lie. The bed, being able to put stuff in here is awesome. Having the option to tow these heavier things, which I will be doing soon because I need to, is awesome. Do I really need all that? No, I don't. But there is a big part of me that likes to be self-sufficient, to be able to do things myself, which is part of why we have solar and batteries, so that when the power goes out, which happens often, we still have power. We can still do what we need to do here. We don't need to rely, you know, on anybody else. And the Cybertruck allows me to be able to do those things whenever I need to do those things, even if it's not that often. I don't have to pay an extra delivery fee to have things delivered. I don't have to borrow a friend's truck to get something done. I have it here. I can help other people if they need help. I'm fine with that. That sounds great. But having the option to have all these things is just so nice. And on top of that, I still get the Tesla experience that I enjoy. I get the efficiency of an electric vehicle. I get the quietness and the comfort of a really nice car. I mean, it does feel kind of like a car when you're driving, but I've heard mixed opinions from different people that have driven the Cybertruck. Some people say, oh yeah, this feels like a big old truck. And then other people drive it and they're like, man, I feel like I'm driving a little car. So I think that really depends on your background of driving. But overall, having access to all of this utility whenever I want it and need it at all times is just awesome.